Welcome back to Dog. We are testing out the giant silicone jigging rig, which I don't know why I keep doing this myself. Like, there will come a time when this rig will probably be really hot and work really well. I don't know if this is that time yet, but we're going to test out here. The 55 has been producing some pretty good fish lately, and I'm just hoping we can. Since it's a little bit more shallow bank, we don't have to wait as long. We also don't have to, doesn't take as long to bring the fish in. These, right now at least, these big silicone jigging lures are a little slower than you want them to be, I think. But on the other hand, sometimes we get some pretty nice fish on them. So let's see what the bite rate feels like. See if we can get some bites out here at the 55. Ooh, that was quick. Okay, let's hope it keeps up like that. I don't care if they are a little bit smaller fish, if it's a good bite rate. Worth seeing what we can get into here. And again, sometimes the issue is like, okay, you want to catch some good fish at the 120, that's great, but you also have to deal with reeling in small fish sometimes from 120 meters down. At least this, we're up on this bank the whole time, so seems a little bit better if we can just get into some good fish. And I've got some different lures we can test out, although kind of wanted to focus on this one this time. A lot of the fish I've caught with this rig, there's a cusk. We do get a lot of cusk in this with this particular rig. Let's see. How can I find these? All right. So the L33-600, I've gotten the most off this one. I also have a really big one. We also have the tiger striped one. So we've got some options. Actually, I thought I had two tiger striped ones. That's weird. I thought I had two different sizes in this tiger striped, or the striped one, but maybe not. So we got a random cusk right there at the end of the kind of the overnight time. So what are we going to get as we move into morning here? If anything. All right, let's let it drop back down. Really not sure what's happening here. Are we too high, too low? Why aren't we at the bottom? Okay, there's the bottom. That's kind of weird. There we go. I don't know if it's the current right now or the topography of the ocean floor. Something's giving us some trouble here on maintaining. This is the common experience using these lures right now. Again, I'm sure they'll come back in style, right? Like we'll find a spot, lure combination somewhere, they'll be totally worth it, but to me right now they just feel a little slow. I finally did get a trophy cod off of one, though. I mean, again, good fish can come in on these things. But you got to be patient sometimes, too. All right. Smallish fish. Not sure what this is, actually. It's bigger than I first thought. Huh. Maybe it's a, you know, mid-sized cod. I'm not sure. Could be a very small halibut, I guess. I've seen both cod and halibut coming out of this bank off this bank recently, so neither would shock me. This seems like a halibut. Way too heavy to pull in on normal gear ratio, but on lower gear ratio we can just sort of wrench it in. Really no movement at all. I think it's going to be halibut, but I catch halibut so often, I'm sure one of these days I'm actually going to be surprised and it'll be, you know, something else. But I'm on a halibut run right now. Anytime something decent size comes in, it's halibut for me. Hopefully it's not just for variety's sake. I don't mind catching halibut, but for variety it'd be fun to see some of the other bigger fish. Why don't we see the fish? Like, it should be right here. There it is. And no one should be shocked at those results if you have watched any of the M-Dog streams lately. All right, let's go again. That was cool. That was cool. We'll take it. We'll take a really nice halibut. It's important that I don't edit these videos, so you see how long it takes to get the next fish on before you decide, like, oh yeah, that looks like a good idea. I think I'll head out to 55 with my Storefisk M2509. Maybe it is a good idea, but let's make sure you have full information here. Any guesses? Does anybody have any guesses here? Does anything about this look familiar to you? Early speculation from me is that this one is a little bigger, though. I wish we could get it a little higher off the bottom before it starts doing this. Okay, it's at least moving a little bit. I mean, it's gonna be a halibut because it's always a halibut, but there's a chance. There's a chance, at least. Like I said last fish, it's always a halibut until all of a sudden it's not a halibut, right? Oh, mercy. The things we do for halibut. But again, one of the reasons why this is a little more bearable, even though I've, already streamed today, had a nice long day of fishing. 55 bank, way different experience than coming up 120 meters or whatever. That is an extreme amount of pressure this fish was just putting on our rig. Holy cow. That's about as close as I've seen it in a while on this rig. 205, 181, just making sure we don't have something set up wrong. That was intense for a second there. I almost had to drop the friction brake. We still have 15 more meters of this. Oof. Okay. I mean, I don't know about if you can't always say like, oh, any bigger, but any stronger at least. This would have been a less consistent fight here. All right, it's 5 meters out. This halibut. Again, it's always a halibut until it's not. It's still moving around some. It's a strange halibut if it's a halibut. But I've had strange halibut. I can't tell you how many times we've caught halibut that were strange. To the point now where I don't even think of halibut as like catfish anymore. I mean, some of them swim around a little bit. All right, let's see what we've got here. We should be able to see something. It looks exactly like I expected it to. Oof. Oh. Let's get that sucker in. Man. We're climbing the charts. I mean, I will say, we're kind of on the halibut right now, aren't we? We've sort of found the halibut. And at least they're not as deep as they are sometimes. That's 2 decent ones in a row. 60.7, that's getting really nice. I mean, is that a 200 silver fish? At least 150, 160, right? Okay. And it's not taking too long to get these in, only because of, again, the relative shallow waters we're fishing in. Whoa, okay. Not a halibut. Well, I say that. Yeah, it's not a halibut, right? Even a small halibut wouldn't feel like that, I don't think. Definitely not a halibut. But, I mean, to be fair, those are words that I've said right before catching a halibut before. Oh, look how much bounce. Look how it's swimming left and right. Definitely not a halibut. Halibut. Oh, ho, 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 ho. Okay. Okay, not the size we want, but that is a crazy looking fish, isn't it? That is a crazy looking fish. All right, let's go right back in this same spot. That thing hit it on the drop, by the way. What's the best? Is it European angler? Yeah, what's the best European angler we have? 32 kilos. Love it. I love it. All right. This bank is kind of interesting right now, isn't it? What is this? I gotta watch it. Oh my goodness. I gotta watch it. What did we hook into? No joke. Not a halibut. I do mean it this time. This thing could pop our leader really fast with as aggressive as it was there for a second. Maybe this will be a really healthy angler? I don't know. I don't know. Man, that is nerve-wracking how fast it fills that tension bar. No! No! I don't know if this is the case, but the fish got away as I switched to my regular gear ratio and then back to my lower gear ratio. I don't know if that had anything to do with it at all, but I don't know. I feel like I could have, regardless of the gear ratio switching, I also just could have not pulled against it when it was pulling that hard. I mean, clearly it was in the middle of a pull, and I don't know, with the lower gear ratio, I tend to think that just keeping it steady, heading back up towards me is the way to go, but maybe with something that aggressive, I need to just chill for a sec. Oh, it's so frustrating. I just want to know what it was. I feel like it could have been another angler, but I don't know. It could have been something else too. It was just big. It was really big. And not a halibut. Combination that I don't get very often. Just gotta let it go. Sometimes it happens, you know. I think that was a user error. I think I could have probably avoided that FGA, but whatever, it happens, you know. It's the price of playing. So unless it just starts coming up really easy, I'm not switching the gear ratio at all. We'll see if that helps. And I'm gonna keep reeling consistently unless I see it's pulling really hard, and then I'll stop. So this isn't as big as the last one. But it's similar. You know, it's just a smaller version. The way it fights, it's a smaller version of that last one that got away. So that gives us a little bit of information if I can just get this fish in. I don't know what this is, but like my guess for that last one would have been that it was a really big European angler. But I could have been way off too. This thing's just holding at 40 meters. It's pulling so hard. I don't really want to pull against that, but I also don't want to just waste time with it on the line. Okay. Now we're good, I think. I just can't handle 2 FGAs in a row. You see how hard it's pulling. The tension increases a little bit, but also just with how the rod tip just bottoms out. And if I hadn't just lost that last one, I would just be reeling against this. I would just be pulling it in regardless. Because with it locked and on the lower gear ratio, we can. But I'm just a little sensitive right now to that pulling that hook out of its mouth. Then you got to ask yourself, is it more dangerous to kind of keep slowly pulling it in, or to just sit here increasing the time it's on the line? That thing is pulling so hard right now. Like, it'd be pulling line if we didn't have it locked. That would be plenty of strength to pull line on this setup. All right, here we go. Maybe not. All right, I'm not pulling against that. When it rocks me forward like that and almost dips into the orange. All right, there's orange. There's orange and a half. All right, there we go. So maybe that's what we're looking for. At least with this fish. If it's in the yellow, we're probably okay. Keep pulling it in. If it rocks us into the orange again, we need to just maybe chill a second. Let's get this fish out of the water. Come on. Okay. Hold on. The last one wasn't a halibut though, right? Like there's no way. Oh man, that makes me nervous that the last one was like a trophy halibut. It was so much bigger than that one. 43. This probably wasn't trophy. And I just don't think it was trophy. It's not trophy. That's silly. Just don't think like that. That's funny. Cusk. All night long cusk here probably. I don't know. I will say, considering the lure size we're using and all that, bite rate's been great here. Like, I wasn't going to keep this video going this long, but the bite rate's just been so good. It's been fine. Cusk. This is always cusk, right? The way it's bouncing like that. hate when you hit space first instead of control space at the same time. So halibut and cusk might be main catch, but we've at least had one angler as bycatch, and who knows what else we could run into here. Nice cusk. So 2 cusk in a row, right? What has worked pretty good for us is starting off with perking, even if we're perking it out of the bottom layer a little bit. And, you know, you can just keep doing this. Seems to work fine. But I've also been letting it drop farther and then sort of finding the jig step. And sometimes that has worked for getting us a bite too. Which, by the way, I mean, because the bite rate's been so good, I'm not necessarily messing with it, but I've also caught pretty good fish with this lure, or these lures, just letting it sit in the bottom layer. Requires some patience, but you can also get bites that way too. All right, let's go back to perking a little bit. It's like we're in between. We're no longer jig stepping, but we're not quite perking. These lures are a little finicky. It's like to perk it, you almost got to be at the point where you're taking it out of the bottom layer. I wonder if halibut are active at overnight at all. Maybe not. Maybe not as much at least. I'm just thinking nighttime we might just mostly hit cusk here. So that means the fish that got away, reasonable chance that that was just a bigger halibut. It's so funny. It's like one fish had me convinced that it wasn't a halibut, but then it gets away. The next fish feels similar for the most part, and so I'm still thinking not a halibut, and it's a halibut. After all the times that I had convinced myself something wasn't a halibut just to be a halibut, you'd think I would have learned. Nope. This feels like a time of day change, doesn't it? Just gonna try to see if we get one more bite, just to see what it looks like this time of night. Ooh. I think I know what it is, but I don't want to say it out loud. It's a lot smaller than the one that got away. I mean, infinitely smaller. It might even be a cusk. Might even be a cusk, it's so small. I think that's what it is. So, yeah, it's time of day thing. Interesting. It's so interesting. It's just nice to be able to use this lure, catch some reasonably interesting, like cool fish. Like, it's interesting, even though it's mostly halibut and cusk. Like, we're not having to reel them in that far. The angler makes you think, well, there's a chance you could get something rare over here. It's just cool. It's fun. I have very much enjoyed it. Very much enjoyed it. And it definitely feels like when halibut aren't biting, you could, you know, farm some cusk. Relatively painlessly farm some cusk. Okay, I may keep fishing this spot a little bit, but I think that's a long enough video for it. Here's the setup one more time. Here's the map. Wait, here's the catch. Obviously starting with the cusk. So we caught 8 fish, 1 got away. Tight lines, everybody. Thanks for watching.